Hi, my name is Castaño. This is the last evidence of the very last course of English Dashboard series from the Senate. I'm going to tell you about the government plans adoption for the scientific, cultural, and economic aspects of the country. In the scientific aspect, the government has mentioned a policy what is divided into 5 different points. First one is proponents widely recognize biodiversity as a fundamental aspect for the global health and human well-being. The objective is to advance in the development of the production chains for goods and services from sustainable harnessing of the biodiversity. Government hopes to encourage sustainable agroecological practices through the government-controlled food farming and distributing multifunctional agriculture and a proper diet according to local food. They look forward to promoting investigation processes that eventually replace fossil fuels for sustainable energy sources, as well as technology solutions that enable the country to confront specific challenges in the energy field. With this mission, government insists on supporting development of health technologies and public policies that reinforce the national position of medicines, medical devices, vehicles, etc. This aims to fight the armed conflict and violence through the scientific knowledge and applied technology. I think the first 4 points are good start points as a vision for the nation's future in science terms. But sorry, but the last point doesn't make sense. Maintain a peaceful state has nothing to do directly with science and more related to economic, cultural, and social aspects. It seems like the government speak about things just because it sounds good and convenient, spending bit money in not productive things. Here are the points for the economy of the country. Reinforce 96 harbor facilities. Production for the living aims to increase in 10.38% production of the agriculture chains, increasing from 35.3 tons of food to 38.9 tons. Massive lands delivery seeks to deliver 2.9 million hectares. This way Colombia will advance in restitution and certification of land, approaching the goal of peace and leverage national agricultural production. Increase to a 36.3% the export of non-mineral power goods and services. Double investment in investigation and development looking to increase to 0.5%. I plus D participation in the GDP increased by 10%. the income of the local economy small business. Colombia has a very fertile land, hence encouraging the agricultural field they hit the nail on the head. Our country is ubicated in the tropical zone and it's viable for growing a wide variety of crops. Other countries say even if they surpass us by a large margin in other aspects like the technological one, have a sterile land, reason why they need to import a big part of the vegetables and fruits, as in the case of England. However, this eagerness to leave Dawson's minerals extraction is not as convenient as it seems, especially if we talk about the ones intended to make combustibles, like is the case of coal. Hence, we need to calibrate the development alternative sources of energy and removal of the most detrimental ones. For the cultural, there are three main points. First one is government had a not so few words with the community for the elaboration of this strategy. As a result, the Cultural National Plan included the participation of at least 100,000 citizens and cultural sector members. The plan invites to recognize the wide cultural and biological diversity exists in national territory, as well as the role of the culture, arts, and popular knowledge. Identify strategic topics for the present and the future of the cultural sector. They have to get gender equality, avoid discrimination, and potentialize climatic actions, memory, use of artificial intelligence, and cultural tradition in urban contexts. We could agree that the consideration of biodiversity and how it affects aspects of daily Colombian life, especially in the case of those communities that inhabit in zones where the nature is predominant, is a really wise point. Discrimination on genre and ethnic groups always has been present in national discussion. On the other hand, the government seems have not considered other forms of cultural development with enough depth, and the fact culture is not relegated only to arts. Even so, things like the national cinematic sector, very small in our case, but sometimes really captures a vivid version of a rarity, TV local production, documentaries, and others have been almost completely ignored. As I said before, for example, one thing inherent into the life of many Colombians is the football, because a local match is not necessarily a way of doing exercise, but in many cases a social rite that can involve relatives and friends of players alike. Colombia is a multicultural country. It is a mistake of politicians and always has been only consider what they want or what suits them, but not see the whole picture, not keep in mind all social groups, not really keeping them in mind. When you don't have enough resources, you need to make the best of the situation. Break the ban and drop out the cash cow are unwisely things to do. Manage a nation is not a piece of cake. Thus, people in charge need to do their best, and that includes doing an extensive research and craft a well-considered strategy for the very long term, because it will take its time to work out. And I have nothing more to say, but thank you for your attention.